Welcome back to the Ladies of Liberty podcast, where we are anchored in truth and armed with grace. Elizabeth, tell them about your shirt.
I am wearing a shirt from the book of Esther, and it says, "Perhaps you were created for such a time as this." Because as we know, the story of Esther was quite a crazy one. And we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Esther and her story and what we can learn from her specifically as women.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to do a quick recap of who Esther was and what her story is?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'll read through a summary of what the entire book is about. First of all, this takes place in Susa, the capital city of Persia, and there's a Jewish community in this city. The leadership is not Jewish, but there is a Jewish community, a large community of Jews in this city. Also, God is never mentioned in this book, not once. This book is kind of an invitation to look for his activity, though he's not ever blatantly mentioned. Yes.
Also, to put it in perspective, this king rules over like 127 provinces, so
many.
Rich guy.
Very rich, very rich. So in chapter 1, King Xerxes gives a feast for all of his officials, and it's kind of like, haha, look how wealthy and amazing I am.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very prideful guy because he has so much wealth. So a feast purely for the reasons of drinking and being merry about all of his wealth, and good stuff. So he, in his drunkenness, asks his queen Vashti to come wearing the crown. He's also, did I say he's drunk? He's drunk. He's quite drunk, along with all of its officials. And she refuses to come. And so the wise men advise him to replace her because how dare she not come parade her body around.
She refuses the king. That's the accusation.
Chapter 2 talks about Mordecai, who raised Esther. They're cousins, but she lost her parents and he adopted her.
They're the Jews. Did you already say that?
I don't know.
In the
but
Jewish
yes,
community.
They're Jewish. She was taken into the king's harem and was chosen as queen. Mordecai told Esther of a plot against the king. So Mordecai overhears two royal guards plotting against the king's life, and he informs Esther, who informs the king and saves the king's life, basically. And Mordecai, he gets recognized, but not in... He doesn't get recognized for this deed.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So Mordecai
Like
was
you
sitting
right
at the king's gate. Esther had not made known her kindred or her people as Mordecai had commanded her.
Oh.
For Esther obeyed Mordecai just as when... What? Yes?
I wanted to add, Esther, when she was put into the harem, they said, you can't tell them they're Jewish because they didn't like the Jews.
Yes.
So
Nobody knows.
She changed her name to Esther. Her first name was Hadassah. But then her Persian name was Esther. But they call her like Ishtar or something like that, I think, after a god. So yeah, that's just important to know. So the king, other people, they don't know she's a Jew.
So it says, in those days, as Mordecai was sitting in the king's gate, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the threshold, became angry and sought to lay hands on King Xerxes, which means kill him. They were planning a plot against his life. And this came to the knowledge of Mordecai, and he told it to Queen Esther, and Esther told the king in the name of Mordecai. So Xerxes, in chapter 3, Xerxes promotes Haman to, like, his right-hand man, which means people bow down to him, and Mordecai refused to bow down to him. So Haman became so angry with Mordecai, he found out he was a Jew and decided to be so angry at all of the Jews. And so he got the king to give a seal for a decree to kill all of the Jews in that community,
Yeah, but he did it secretly, so he didn't even tell the king, hey, we want to kill the Jews. It was, there's this people group that nobody likes, and they're just like a leech on society, and they're terrible, and it would be better off if they're all dead. So the king's like, okay, didn't get rid of them, totally not knowing it was an entire population of Jews. So he was sneaky and crafty, and he took the king's signet ring, which is he has the power to make any law he wants. Yeah. And when a law is passed, you can't undo it. So Haman sneakily did that.
In chapter 4, Mordecai asks Esther to plead with the king. Esther said, "Hold a fast, I will go to the king against the law, and if I die, I die." So this is the chapter where Mordecai is saying, please, you are the way that we might not die. You have access to the king. You could talk to him and get him to, whatever it is, maybe reverse the decree or get us, save us, because we're going to die. And she at first is doubtful. We should actually read that part from
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah. And the
Jess,
thing
you wanna
is,
read it?
if she goes before the
Me?
king, Lily, if she goes before the king and the king doesn't call her up at first, she is punished. Like, that's punishable by death if you just go and show up to the king. So by her going to talk to him, she could die. And that's why she's very, like, very afraid. The only way she doesn't die is if he extends his, like, staff or scepter to her and accepts her going before him.
So do you know where chapter 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting. Do you want just the her first response
Start
or like 11
sure. Yeah, that's good.
till the end?
Yeah.
Esther 4?
Yeah. Okay. Esther 4, verse 11. All the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned by the king has but one law, that they can be put to death unless the king extends the gold scepter to them and spares their lives. But 30 days have passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer: Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's families will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: Go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days or nights. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions.
I love that.
I love verse 14. Probably one of my favorite things ever. There's so much in like every single line of that verse.
Even before verse 14, what leads up to it, when he's saying, "Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all other Jews," because it's like he's gonna find out you're a Jew eventually, and then you'll die too. Like, don't think for a minute that you've escaped this. And then he kind of convinces her, because in verse 14 he says, "For it like if you don't, relief and deliverance will come another time. Maybe we all die, but like in general, the Jewish people will find deliverance somehow." But like God invites us to be a part of what he's doing.
Yeah.
What he's doing is going to happen anyway, but he wants to use us.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say, is like, it's crazy how he said relief and deliverance will come at a different time. And it's like he's saying the Lord's will come to pass, whether you're a part of it or not. So either jump on board or get off the pot.
Yeah, and then for such a time as this, like, that is applicable in our lives all the time, every day. Like, God has us right where he wants us all the time, and we can do so much for his kingdom because we are here for this time, in this moment.
Oh, that's such a good verse. Anyway.
Okay. Oh, and then also, true language, she literally says, "If I perish, I perish." Like, having such a sacrificial mindset, like, you know what, this cause is greater than I. If I die, if I lose my life, it's like to live is Christ, to die is gain. Like, if I die, I die because I'm dying for my people. I'm dying for God. Like, that's it's like a parallel. It's like exactly what Jesus did. He died for his people. He sacrificially gave up his life for his people. She died for her people. She was willing to die for her people. She didn't actually, but she was willing to. She knew that was possibly the cost of going to the king.
And I love how her first response to this decision she made was to just go pray and fast for 3 days. But also, like, I feel like I have to pray and fast for way longer than that for smaller decisions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Maybe, do you think maybe Christians, us, take the, oh, pray about it, make sure it's what God wants you to do, as an excuse to just delay?
Maybe sometimes.
Do you
I
guys
think
actually
so.
fast?
Sometimes I
Really?
have, yeah. And you don't have to fast.
Yeah, from food.
Yeah, you can fast all sorts of things too. You don't have to fast food, but it's kind of depraving your body of what it wants and refocusing your mind and your spirit on the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm in a fast right now.
What are you fasting?
Secular music. All
Wow.
secular music. Yep. And I'm doing it. It's really hard. I love my pop and my country.
Yeah.
I love my country so bad. That's been really tricky.
The times that I have fasted, they're like for a decision or just for something that's really important to hear from God. I get an answer either within a day, like that day, within a day, or like just it's like it just pops up and I'm like, all right, Lord, that's what we're doing, and it's really cool to see.
Very powerful.
I need to fast social media.
Yep.
Really bad. That's my next thing to do, but I'm putting that one off.
Maybe you can like do it with somebody else. Maybe like you and Jordan can do it or something.
Yeah. We should do that.
That one is really
worst.
hard.
Yeah.
Especially because
We
I
lose
like,
our streak.
yeah, like
Dang it.
I
That's-
communicate with a lot of my friends off of like social media. So
Yeah.
not that it couldn't be done, it certainly could, but that one would be really hard for me.
My thing that I wish I could do, because social media, I'm not on it enough where I rely on it. So I can easily just get right off and not have it affect me. But just the phone itself is very hard because that's, I communicate with people through texting and there's emails on it and stuff. And I wish so badly that I didn't have it and that I could just throw it away. But I don't know how I could replace how am I going to get in touch with people? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So I want to find a way to fast that, like the phone. But
Get a flip phone.
That's what I was
Low-key.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it because I totally, I want to do that. And there have been times where I've been like, hey, Sam, can I get a flip or a Gab phone or whatever, like something that it doesn't have the internet. He's like, no, like your phone's really useful, because he doesn't have access to the internet. He doesn't have everything. So having this is actually useful to him and to me. But
Yeah.
I don't like it. I want to get rid
You
of
could
it.
use your phone almost like an iPad, though, I guess, where it like stays home and you use it when you need it.
Yeah.
Good
But you get,
idea.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't get rid of it.
It's funny we're
I
talking
know.
about this. I left my phone at home
That's amazing.
on the way here.
How do you
and like
feel?
well, I like intrinsically, like I'm thinking about like each time that I would go to check my phone, I'd be like, nah, it's not here.
Yeah.
Can't do anything. But honestly, I don't need it. So like what?
Right.
But it's just like that.
They're
It's like
what if-
subconsciously I'm like reaching for my phone. It's not here.
Yeah, I wish I reached for my Bible subconsciously before reaching for the phone.
Somebody clip that.
There you go.
Somebody clip that. Put it on a shirt.
Because if you think about it, we go everywhere with these. If we forget it, we're like, oh my gosh. We don't go everywhere with these.
So chapter 5, Esther won the favor of the king, and she was not indeed killed. She said, let the king and Haman come to a feast tomorrow. And so she invited them to a feast. She didn't right then ask to save her people, but she invited them to a feast the next day. And in the same chapter, Haman runs into Mordecai on the streets and gets all angry and is like, I want that dude dead. So he has gallows built to hang him. So that night he has gallows built. Chapter 6.
There's a very big, long stick that he wants to stab him on and make everybody see him.
Like a skewer.
Like a
A
skewer.
human skewer.
Human skewer.
Please don't
Skewer.
smile when you say that.
I was thinking of like the actual kebab on like a grill.
Okay.
Right. Anyway.
Chapter 6. That night the king couldn't sleep, and he read about the plot against him and how Mordecai was the one who brought it to light and saved his life. And in the next morning,
This is my favorite part.
the next morning, Haman came to the king to ask about hanging Mordecai because he just made him so angry because he just wouldn't bow down to him. But before he had the chance, the king told Haman, well,
He asked the
Do you wanna-
question.
specifically, how did he talk to Haman?
Well, Haman come up, so I want to talk about something, and the king was like, oh, wait, before you go on, like, how can I honor a person who's just done so many, like, who's done so much great things for the king, or like, who's amazing, like, how can I honor him? And Haman's like, oh my gosh, he's talking about me. Well, here's what you should do. You should sit him high on a horse, and you should dress him in your clothes, let him wear your crown or something like that, and you should parade him around and make sure everybody bows down to him, and just basically, like, lifting him as high as the king and making him so, like, amazing. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. And he's like, all right, I order that Mordecai gets that exact treatment. And he's like, what? Because he's going to go to the king to say, hey, we should hang Mordecai. And now the king's saying, let's honor Mordecai and make him like the king. And it's very fun. It's very funny.
All right, sheep.
Chapter 7, at the feast, the king...
Wait, can I say something? It says here, so Haman took the robes and the horse, and he dressed Mordecai and led him through the square of the city, proclaiming before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. So Mordecai was led by Haman.
And Haman had to say those words.
Haman had to say those words. So funny.
I will prepare a feast for you in the presence of your enemies.
Ooh.
That's what that reminded me of.
Wow. That's what you, like, I like how clear and simple, like, that's, what you sow, you reap what you sow. Haman was a nasty guy. He was prideful, and he just wanted power and attention and riches and fame and glory, and then that got flipped for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we see even more how that got flipped for him in this next chapter. So at the feast that Esther had invited the king and Haman to, the king asked Esther, what is your request? And she said, my people have been sold by Haman. And she explains the whole situation. Jess, do you want to explain the situation a little bit?
Okay, so she's at the feast with the king, and she's like, oh, make your request known. I'm on the right track, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then Esther's like, oh, Haman, he sent out this thing, and she told him about the decree. And she's just like, this is my petition. Don't kill me and don't kill my people because, plot twist, I'm a Jew too. And so then he is like, where is he? And he was at the table. Haman was at the table. And the king, like, storms out of there to, like, start preparing his punishment, which was that kebab skewer. And Haman's like, no, Queen Esther, I'm so sorry. Don't let him hang me or whatever. And, well, that didn't happen. So he did, in fact, get hung. And, yeah. So the king was like, impale him on it because he was pissed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he kind of got what he deserved. Chapter 8, the king gave his ring to Mordecai now, and Mordecai receives the seat that Haman was sitting in.
Yeah.
Mordecai gets the signet ring.
Okay.
Yeah. To
And,
send out the new decree.
and Mordecai sent letters to the provinces allowing the Jews to defend themselves, and the Jews rejoiced. So instead, basically they learned that by law they can't reverse the decree saying we're going to kill the Jews. They can't reverse it by law. But they made a new decree saying by law the Jews can defend themselves, and
anyone who
they
kills.
can kill any of the people who try to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the Jews rejoiced. And then on this chapter 9, on the day of the king's decree, the Jews destroyed their enemies, and there was victory. Praise the Lord. Mordecai wrote to all the Jews and established the feast of Purim as a celebration. And then in chapter 10, Mordecai the Jew was second only to King Xerxes.
Woo! Great story.
Yep. I love Esther.
That Esther.
Yeah, I do.
Talk about what you love about her in the story.
I'll talk about, like, there are a few things. One is, I love how in the beginning, I'm reading my little notes on the side. But in Esther chapter 2, it talks about how she obeys Mordecai because, so Esther was an orphan and Mordecai kind of like adopted her because they were cousins. And Esther obeyed Mordecai a lot, like growing up, like kind of a father figure kind of thing. And she had always obeyed him, and she obeyed Mordecai in the little things. And then when it came to the big thing, when it came to giving her life to save her people, she also obeyed his instructions then. And obviously, Mordecai's not God, but it kind of shows that when you repeat habits of obeying, you know, in the smaller things, in the bigger things, you're also going to obey. And so I don't know. I like picking that out because I think it's important. And I think you can apply it to your relationship with God about how when obeying becomes a habit in the small things, it'll be a habit in the big things too.
That's awesome. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And I love how she did doubt at first. She was like, dude, they're going to kill me. Because who wouldn't, if we're being honest. But then he's like, you were prepared for this time, and it's going to happen without you if you don't step up to the plate. And so she did, and she was like, all right, well, then if I die, I die. And she went up to the king. And also what I love is, if we're being honest, in a situation like this, when you're presented with a, hey, you and your family is about to die, I'm about to kill you because of a law, and you're going to bargain with me, the first thing that I would think to do if I was Esther, when the king first let her talk to him, would be, please don't kill my people. Like, don't kill me. Like, here's why, blank, blank, blank. No, she said, let me prepare a feast for you. She was patient. And then the first time she prepared the table for them, she still didn't tell him. She waited till the second time. And I just think that that patience was so important because it allowed for the king to realize that Mordecai was not rewarded. And then it allowed Mordecai to not be killed. And then all of these things, I mean, if she just blurted it out right then and there, he wouldn't have rewarded Mordecai. The story would have just completely gone differently. Yeah. And so I truly believe that Esther waited for God's timing of when to reveal that information in such an odd time, like the second feast.
Yeah.
No one would think that. I wouldn't. I would just blurt it out. But she didn't, and she was patient, and it gave the exact amount of time that she needed and that the king needed for other things to happen so that it ended up the way that it did.
Gosh, to talk to Esther one day in heaven.
Right?
Be like, were you like, did God like give you the cue? Okay, now you can say it. Yeah. Like, how did it happen?
How did you not poop your pants? Like, I mean, seriously, I'd be freaking out. Maybe she did. But, yeah.
What I also notice about God in this story, because like we were saying, he's not like flat out mentioned. His name is not in this book, not once. They talk about praying and fasting, and you understand that they are praying and fasting to God because they're Jews, but he's not specifically mentioned. And something that is like just so clearly God is the very quick and over-the-top favor that Esther had. Like, from the beginning, out of the large number of people in Susa, she was chosen to be queen. For such a time as this. She, out of all of them, was chosen to be queen, and then not only chosen to be queen, but so loved by the king. Like, he adored her. He loved her so much that, like, you know, because she was so beautiful. She was the most beautiful girl ever, and he loved that. So he, therefore, was like, yeah, whatever you want, I'll give you up to half my kingdom. Just name your request. And so when she finally explained what was going on, she was like, the king was very ready to do whatever she asked. She had favor, and she had favor in the sight of the Lord, but he granted her favor in the beauty pageant that went on.
The beauty pageant.
It really was a beauty pageant.
Oh yeah, for like a year. Was it a year?
Yeah, pretty much.
A
That's
year.
insane.
12 months of 6 months. It was like 6 months
Of
of
oils.
6 months of like facials and things, and
I would like that.
gosh, that'd be
Anyway.
nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Also, that's also another thing is chapters 1 through 4 takes place over 9 years. If you notice, I was like doing a study on Esther. 1 through 4 it takes 9 years to get through, and then chapters 5 through 8 takes 48 hours
Wow.
to get through. So it was like God works in our lives slowly and then all at once, is that idea of like he spends like there's all of this time where you might feel like you're in a waiting season, whether it's like singleness or just like waiting for anything. God works slowly. He's always working behind the scenes. You might feel like nothing's happening and God's, absent. But, he orchestrated Mordecai and Haman and the king and Esther and like all of them right where they needed to be at the right time to save his people. And then all at once, all the plans came together and it worked out exactly as he planned it out for his will, his timing. So that's an encouragement to us, as like we feel like nothing's really going on, but like just wait for it to happen all at once, and it's all gonna click. And then once it clicks, we look back and see, oh, I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
I see it now.
In hindsight, we see how God was working. Because there's lots of times in your life where you're like, why did this happen? And like, at least while you're living, you're like, why is this going on? What's going on? God, how are you going to use this and work? And then you look back after 5 years and you go, I can see it now. Clear as day what you were doing. And sometimes you can't, but most often you can see God work through your lives after the fact.
Can we also talk about Haman a little bit? I know it gets off the topic of like,
Woman.
yeah, like the idea of this is that we're going through women of the Bible, and so we're talking about Esther, but her story encompasses a lot of different aspects because Haman teaches us a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start?
I think Haman and Mordecai are a great example of if you humble yourself before the Lord, he will lift you up. And if you pride yourself, you will be humbled. Because Haman was given so much recognition and he soaked it all in and it got to his head and he got prideful and he wanted it all and he just kept yearning for all of the money and the wealth and the fame and whatever, because he needed that. And there was one man, Mordecai, who opposed him and he wanted to kill him. I mean, that's insane.
And all of his people.
Yeah, and all of his people. But Mordecai had saved the king's life and didn't need recognition, didn't ask for it, didn't ask to be rewarded. He just did it because it was the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is that wasn't just about Haman, but I think that's important because sometimes I feel like we'll do the right thing in front of other people so that we get acknowledgement for it, but that's not what humility is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also that so often we try to find satisfaction in the world and in people around us being pleased with us. But Haman searched for that so much. He didn't find satisfaction in it because he kept trying, because still you're not satisfied by the world, by people being pleased with you. Like, we're not trying to please people here. And not only will we never find satisfaction in the acceptance and validation of people, but we shouldn't want that. Because as Christians, we're trying to step out of the world. We're trying to say, look, we're different. I want people to look at us and say, why don't they care about all of these worldly things? Da 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 da. It's because it's not like it's beneath us. It's just because we are looking to something higher. And to be a follower of Jesus we shouldn't want to participate. We shouldn't want the validation of people who don't follow the Lord.
Mm.
So we learn a lot about Esther, but what are some aspects of Esther and her character that we can learn from?
She had a lot of courage, and I think that she wasn't able to get that from herself. She had to rely on God for a lot because she didn't know what was going to happen next.
We could talk a little bit about, like, going off of what Lily said, is that she didn't know what the future held, but she had a lot of faith and that God knew. And something that I was listening to Pastor Greg Laurie talk about Esther, and he said that Esther's character was not built in the hardship; it was exhibited through the hardship. So through the having to go and possibly sacrifice her life for her people, her courage and her strength was exhibited, and her faith, because yes, she hesitated, but she didn't say no, I won't do it, because she was very willing, and she went about it the right way, like we were talking about, with fasting and with prayer and with the entire Jewish community with her, like all of her family there. So putting ourselves in her shoes, like, could we do that?
No.
Probably not. We really should
Probably
strive to
not.
be able to have that amount of faith to be able to say yes, Lord. And if people are depending on us, if we're in a situation if we're in a position where we can help that much, it's like, yes, we should be able to say yes.
Yep. Obey in the little so you can obey in the much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the entire book in general helps us to see that God is sovereign and that we can trust in his providence throughout it all, because without him being mentioned at all, it all was perfect in his timing, and it came together exactly the way he planned it to, and for his glory, and he and his people were in the end saved. And that, the book of Esther asks us to trust God's providence even when it looks so unattainable, even when hope looks so far gone, you can't see God working, but just having faith and trusting that he's sovereign and he is in control. And also that he uses such broken and sinful people, because there was such grossness surrounding them. There was such sin going on. The king was so prideful and drunken, and God used him. God used Haman. And yes, Esther and Mordecai were following the Lord, but didn't mean they're perfect.
Right.
God doesn't use
were
perfect people.
Broken family because Esther's parents had died.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were surrounded and partially a part of it, a sinful culture, but they still looked to God and to see how God could use them in the time that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
I love how, of course, I love hearing directly about God, but I love how this book does not mention God, because it's just kind of proof that you don't even have to mention the name, but you can see him everywhere.
Yeah.
In
That's pretty awesome.
everything. And it's just sometimes you can look back on your life and even if you haven't heard the gospel, even if you haven't heard about Jesus, it's how could you say there's not when there's so many things that just point to a supreme being? Do you know what I mean? It just proves that
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
you
can't
can see it
deny it anymore. It
Yeah.
gets to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
this was a shorter podcast. But
You were made for such a time as this.
true.
You are exactly where you need to be. You are surrounded with the family and the friends, and no matter the situation, if you have a hard family situation, that's where you're supposed to be. Not that you can do so much good, and you can put your faith in the Lord and trust that he has your future in his hands. And in this moment, for such a time as this, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
find your purpose. Use your gifts all to the glory of God.
And be patient, because you don't know the doors that God is opening and closing behind the scenes. You can't really tell, but He is doing things. So just wait on His go, or His stop, whatever that may be.
Love it.
Love you guys.